everybody, YouTube, Doja's son here. I want to talk to you guys about territory wars and just throw out a couple of pointers and things you need to or should keep track of while you're playing territory wars. Now in the background here we're going to have some footage of some of my territory war battles that I executed this previous territory war. Now obviously this particular unique buff for the troopers is not permanent, so that means this will be an easier team, although you probably won't see troopers on defense normally. In fact, I use my troopers to counter the bounty hunters at times on offense. And what the key thing there is, you need to check the difference between Colonel Stark's speed and Bossk's speed. Now, the reason for this is if you're Colonel Stark, if you're using troopers on offense, if your Colonel Stark is faster than Bossk, then you should be able to get your turn meter train rolling such that the bounty hunters should basically never take a turn. If you go through some of my old podcasts, I show a bunch of different footage, arena, grand arena, territory war footage in the background. I don't know what episode it's going to be on, but there's definitely footage on my channel somewhere of Imperial troopers beating a Bossk-led bounty hunter. So that's just tip number one, is like check the mods. Make sure that your character's speeds are superior to the teams you're facing. You don't have to take out the best team in the particular zone. You don't have to save your best team for a particular team, right? The idea is you want to take one team, attack, and win on that first attack, right? That's the key. We lost by 200 points this last war. Full clear, both sides. Full clear. What really separated us was the fact that the opponent was much more efficient in their offense. 20 banners. That's practically the best you can do unless you take less characters. Now this was just a fun cleanup team here based upon the Jawa bonus for stunned characters. So with Darkside Bastila and Dooku running stuns here, it was just a really good way with some of the bottom of my barrel roster. All the Jawas are gear 8, Bastila's gear 8, Dooku's gear 10. So, I end up putting it on auto here because it got so frustrating trying to figure out what to do. I was just like, whatever. And it won about a minute and a half in. But that's another thing, is if you end up needing to quit out, or you end up not killing the team 100% the first time around, don't just rage attack. Don't be like, oh, I gotta get this team down. That's not the way to go about it. Take a step back, think about, with what's left on this team, is there anything that I have to take it out? Now for Grand Arena, you can't rely on your teammates to clean up your failed attacks. But in Territory War, that's perfectly okay. If you know somebody on your team in Territory War can take out a nest that's left alone, don't waste more attacks on it. This attack that I used here ended up only getting 10 points because it had multiple defenses already, because people kept trying to hit this nest and not winning. You gotta be very careful. Don't attack a team if you're not 100% confident. Now, I get a lot of crap from a lot of people about me using my OG resistance versus First Order. I've never had an issue with this. Well, I've had a couple of issues, but mostly it comes to the RNG not getting the exposes to land on the opponent, right? So when you don't get the exposes, it can be really frustrating. And a lot of people run, Barasafi with the Zeta, with the First Order team, because of the fact that, that just adds more durability to the team. When she healed there, I was like, oh my gosh. A minute in, and I feel like I'm starting the battle over. The point here is you don't want to use old resistance against First Order if you have a slow Poe. You need to make sure that your Poe goes first. Pops that buff immunity on Kylo Ren Unmasked, and the exposes on as many people as possible. Right? You need to make sure that your Poe is fast enough. I think it goes back to the first tip that I mentioned. Make sure that you're checking mods. because if you're checking mods and you know what your teams are modded at, and if you can take out a team based upon the fact that you have superior mods, then that's how you get that one hit, one win attack. And that's really the key when it comes to success in Territory Wars. Kylo Ren Unmasked is a really challenging team to face. It's pretty much a staple team that most people see on defense. Now, I will say that for Grand Arena, it is possible, based upon the mechanics of Kylo Ren Unmasked's Zeta leadership, that you'd want to save it for offense because of the bonus protection points that you can get there. But for Territory Wars, there is no bonus points for health and protection. The only bonus points you can earn in Territory Wars is by leaving a character out of your team. Now, there was a team that I did face. I probably should have taken 4 characters instead of 5, because using the Triumvirate against a lesser team, you don't really need all 5, and later on we'll see that. I used Darth Maul with the Triumvirate because I like the days, but he's too squishy. I really do think that Darth Maul needs some kind of a way to increase his survivability. He can get one shot way too easily. And then, some of these battles, they do last quite some time. I know that currently in Arena, with everybody getting Revan, Revan versus Revan is a very painful match. So there are times when I'm climbing, I'm still using my old Traya or CLS counters, even though I have Revan now. But the second tip, right, so the first tip is check mods, right? And I spent 7 minutes talking about making sure that your mods are correct. Also, you have to play smart, right? Just because you have better mods doesn't mean you're going to win if you're attacking the wrong characters. And I can't tell you how to play your game, but I can give you suggestions that can help you for success. The second tip is, if you're going to lose without even killing a single character, forfeit the match. You can force close the app. You can hit the little gear in the upper left hand corner and say forfeit. You can also put your phone in airplane mode and then take it out of airplane mode if you're going to win, or if you're not going to win, then leave it in airplane mode, close the game. You don't have to worry about it. I'm not 100% in the airplane mode because I just always force close the app. Also, these teams that you're seeing here, Jedi Training Rey is a staple counter to Scoundrel teams. Scoundrel teams are showing up a lot in Territory Wars and Grand Arena these days. This is not your typical Scoundrel lineup because this is all based upon the dots and using the Karth lead rather than the Kira lead. I don't know any free-to-play players that are able to sport a Karth lead right now, so this is definitely like a whale team that you're seeing on the defensive side. Now, my chopper is only gear 10, so he did die really quick. The rest of them are all gear 12 and fully Zeta here, so my T3 Emperor is fully Zeta. So this was actually quite a challenging match. I've never faced a Karth team before, but JTR has always been the anti-scoundrel character, right? Anti-scoundrels. Really, the main reason you use her for against scoundrels is that the Vandor Chewbacca Zeta with the reviving is just a pain in the rear, and this helps to cut down through the healing and the reviving. And you always want to take Vandor out first. Now with the secondary composition here of these other dot teams, then we're going to need to figure out more than just Jedi Training Rey, because Jedi Training Rey is a universal counter for scoundrels, bounty hunters, a First Order. Jedi Training Rey compositions, whether it be BB-8 and a bunch of droids or other Resistance characters, you could use R2 and C-3PO. I like to use R2 and C-3PO with my Commander Luke Skywalker team. So it's just about making sure that you have the counters available for the teams that you're seeing. And what's the best way to do that? Well, your guild is going to structure your territory war defenses whichever way they choose. But what I recommend is don't place your best teams on defense. I mean, you can place one of your best teams or two of your best teams if you have a lot of them. It really depends on the depth of your roster. I'm above 4 million, so I'm able to set teams on defense and still have plenty of options for offense, as you're saying. Know the counter teams, right? JTR counters scoundrels. It's like a hard counter. Oh, this is an arena battle here. I unfortunately I have Revan, and I did not place him on defense for Territory Wars, but I fell asleep before the war was over, and it was fully cleared before it ended. So T-Money from Operation Metaverse had said, don't save your teams. If you can use them, use them. And now, I was hanging out with my wife the other night, and so I didn't do the, use all my teams available. I should have used my Night Sisters were left, my CLS with C-3PO was left, and my Revan was left for offense that I did not use. And so that would have helped my guild get 3 100% victories, right? Because the only thing that was left was Bounty Hunters, I think, and some Ewoks. And the Ewoks had some really great bonuses, but when you're going in with meta teams, then it should be a walk in the park, theoretically, right? I don't know, because I didn't get to use those teams. So you don't really want to, I mean, I understand holding a team in case you're going to see something that's like harder in the next wall, if it's like just the front walls. But once you're like middle to the back, I mean, you shouldn't be holding teams. There's no reason for it. If you're throwing lesser teams in against, just trying to, hopefully I can save my team, whatever the next wall is. I mean, you don't know what's back there. I'm not saying blow all your best teams on easy teams, right? Pardon me, don't go using your Trey on a Kylo Ren on mass team if it's in the front wall. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, like, if you're second or third territory back, or maybe it's the second territory, and you need to open up the ships in the middle lane, right? There's only a few teams left and people have kind of missed. It's okay if a couple people use their meta teams to get through that wall. Not everybody in the guild's going to do that, but it's good that some people do. So the next thing is, don't hold your teams, right? Another tip, and this is a great example here, is Rex lead is notorious for being able to lead in mishmash team, right? So like Visas Mar, Wampa, B2 Battle Droid, and then 5s because he's a clone. Yeah, the clones got a buff in this particular war, and the Ewoks got 0 cooldowns in this particular war. I don't think that really would have made a difference in this particular battle here, because Wampa does all the work, and Visas Mar is just such a great character for Territory Wars offense. I think that's the only place that she has in the game right now. She is good for phase 1 of of the Sith raid if you don't have C-3PO, or if you didn't Gear 12 your Scavenger Ray. She's like a substitute, but she's not really the best substitute. So just make sure that you have the right teams built. That's basically what I was trying to get at with that Rex team showing. And here's what I'm saying here: the Kira team. This is a very common lineup here. Maybe not with Han in there. Maybe you'll see somebody like Vandor. The two Hans is a little interesting, but I wasted Darth Maul here. I even gave him the protection up from Treya in hopes to keep him alive, but he does not live. Look at this. Boom. So bad. Like, he has no durability whatsoever. His offense ramps up after you kill a couple of characters, but he's not going to survive long enough to get there. So I probably could have gotten some bonus points if I just started with these 4. So this is one of those things, like if you're facing multiple Kira teams or Scoundrel teams, like the Karth team that I fought earlier with JTR, and then this, I mean, using Treya against one of these teams that require a really good defense is completely okay, so long as it's not the front wall, or not everybody in the guild is wasting their meta teams. So I do feel like this is going a little bit long into my explanation of things that you need to do for territory wars, but the overall, there's just like basically 3 things that I wanted to cover, and that was know your mods and check the opponent's mods, right? Like that's one thing. Know your mods, check the opponent's mods. The second thing is, make sure that you have the right teams built to counter the teams that you see on territory wars, And the third tip is, don't hold back. Like, make sure that you're taking in the right teams, and you're going in for that clean offense. This battle right here, very, very intriguing in my opinion. I had the trooper buff here, so I didn't use Thrawn's maneuverability on the troopers. Like, here I probably could have used the maneuver on Magma so that he was able to get the turn meter, because Jango Fett's leadership says that characters with burning don't gain turn meter, so it's kind of like half of days. So I probably should have used maneuver more often, especially if there was no buffs. Now, this composition that I'm using on offense of Thrawn here is typically was the Thragma team, right? And there's a couple different variations where where Tarkin is standing. But this is basically to take out Traya teams that you see on defense. Well, nobody puts Traya on defense anymore, but I still have this team built in my presets, and I saw this Jango Fett lead team with Wampa, and I was like, and these other dot mechanics. I was like, wow, this seems like a really challenging team. And I'm really glad that I'm the one that took this team on, because it took me 4 minutes to get through this entire team, and I was scared the whole time. Trying to get around these taunts was painful. I was like, oh, AoE kill Jango. I was like, dang it, no. Oh, Jango, don't kill anybody, because if Jango kills somebody on his turn with the Zeta, they don't revive. So this little trooper buff that I've got going on here, it doesn't help me at all. Now, I wasn't using maneuver, right? Thrawn's leader ability grants everybody maneuver, so I think that this team could still take out this Jango team, but it'll be a little bit trickier, and you'll need to use maneuver more often. This actually showed me that this is probably one of my favorite scoundrel teams with Wampa now for defense, if you can get Jango, because Jango, Juhani, and Zalbar, Juhani and Zalbar passing the taunt back and forth is annoying. Zalbar is tanky. Oh my goodness, he does not take damage very well. Death Trooper was very, very much needed to be able to eliminate Zalbar. And there was a couple times we've already passed that the Terminate was evaded by Zalbar, so we didn't even get to stick the death mark, and I had to wait till it came back around again, which was really, really quite annoying. But definitely props to this team composition here. And I don't know if I would have been able to win without the trooper buffs, because I did lose Shore Trooper and Magna Trooper right there in this match. So also the more and more that Wampa survives, the more damage he's getting every time he goes, So. But anyways, yeah, so there's plenty of teams out there that you can focus on, right? Focus on the main ones. Laser focus your teams, right? Don't just build one character for a team, although there are certain characters that are pivotal to the team, right? Veers is the only Zeta you need for Imperial Troopers. Stark is the only one you really need to have fast in that team. Finn is the only Zeta you need for the OG Resistance. Poe is the only one you really need to have fast for that team, right? So there's certain things that you can do. You can build an entire team for offense with only minimal investment. Now other teams like this, I'm a tenured player, over 4 million, practically day one. So of course I've got a Gear 12 Magna Trooper. It was something that I'm a competitive player. So when Traya was prevalent, I was like, I'm gonna Gear Magna Trooper to counter Traya. So yeah, and I think that's it. This brings us full circle back to the first match that I started here with, and so that's been my time. Territory War tips, some battles to enjoy. If you don't like my voice, just mute me and watch the battles. Same thing with my podcast. I got great footage in the background. If you don't like what we talk about, just mute it and watch the videos. There's definitely some good gems hidden in there. Like, share, subscribe. I'll have some links in the description below. You can find me on Discord and a bunch of other people's channels, but one of my podcast guys, Zylo Takedown, he's also got a YouTube channel. So I'll put the link to his Discord down below, and you can always find me there. Yeah, get out of here. May the Force be with you.